And it keeps getting crazier. William Miller, who was the founder of a group called the Millerites, believed that Jesus would come back. And what happened in 1844 is an event known as the Great Disappointment. It was based upon a certain prophecy of Daniel 8, the 2,300-day prophecy, where for some unknown reason he decided that one day equals a year. And a lot of times if you read a lot of these prophetic books, we'll see this over and over again, that a day equals a year. And there's no particular reason to pick that. It's completely arbitrary. There's no evidence that there's any kind of biblical interpretative method that says a day equals a year. They just pick it. And because of doing this, he did some fancy math. There's this little chart. He did some fancy math, and he decided that Jesus would come back in 1844. And he had two chances at it. He missed it both times in 1844. And he is now responsible for several other movements that grew up from him. Because when you fail, you always have to make an excuse or change the date or something like that. He tried changing the date. It didn't work. When it failed the second time during the Great Disappointment, it was decided, a new group emerged that said, well, Jesus really did sort of come back. You just didn't see it. And they became known as the Seventh-day Adventist. So that's where the Seventh-day Adventists came from. The Jehovah's Witnesses come out of this particular group. Okay? And also the Baha'i faith comes out of this group. The Baha'i movement claims that Jesus did come back in 1844. They will show you a picture of him and say, this was him, and this is what he taught, and you need to follow it. So we have at least three major groups that come out of the Great Disappointment here by doing his fancy math. I never trust anybody who's got fancy math that revolves around dates and stuff like that. Here's the first reason why. I'm like, well, which calendar are you using? Are you using the Hebrew calendar? Are you using the Julian calendar when a lot of these things were written? Were you using our current Gregorian calendar? Which one? Because a lot of the dates are just kind of arbitrary, and we messed them up anyway when we changed over. No big deal. So why do we have so many people who like to predict this stuff? Why are we so focused on all of this end-time prediction? Why are we all writing books and selling DVDs and getting everybody all worked up that Jesus could come back? Why? Because we have this desire to know. I mean, don't we want to know what's going to happen next? Wouldn't it be great if we really could predict the future? Wouldn't it be great if we could just open up the Bible, look at a verse, and go, oh, look right there. Now I know what's going to happen. Now I know what to invest in, or now I know when to sell off my investments, right? Should I do that long-term investment? No, I don't think so, right? Because the world's going to end next year, so sell short, you know. But I think there's another reason, too. There's a particular psychological effect. It's known as pareidolia. Anybody familiar with this? Our brain, and this is a psychological effect, our brain is an amazing, amazing thing. Our brain does stuff, makes these amazing leaps of intuition that doesn't happen with other animals. We find patterns even when there aren't patterns. See, our brain is amazing at finding patterns, and that helps us move on to make like these intuitive leaps in knowledge. And so we can solve problems because we're able to do this. We're able to see patterns that maybe others can't see. But it also works against us because we see patterns where there are no patterns. That's why when you lay down, you know, you might remember doing this as a kid, right? You lay down on the grass. Not any of our modern kids, right? Because they're bubble wrapped and dipped in hand sanitizer before we send them out, okay? Can't get them outside in the grass. They're going to get all, you know, allergy and stuff, right? Okay, anyway, right? Extra sunscreen. Maybe you remember as a kid, you know, you older folks in the crowd, laying in the grass, and you looked up at the sky, and you were looking at the little clouds going by, and you're like, ooh, that one looks like a bunny. That one looks like Superman. That one looks like Cotton Mather screaming at his congregation. That was me as a kid, right? I'm like, yeah, that would definitely look like Cotton Mather. That's pareidolia. Your brain is imposing order. Your brain is imposing a pattern on just chaos. And so oftentimes we see patterns where there aren't patterns. And this is also why we have a lot of conspiracy theories. Where did they come up with this stuff? They begin connecting things that don't necessarily go together. Our brain likes order. Our brain likes patterns, and so it creates them where they aren't even there. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get a lot of this stuff.